The invitation still burns a hole in my coat pocket. Not literally, but sometimes when I reach for my keys or my phone, my fingers brush against the thick, cream-colored cardstock, and I feel it, like a brand, like shame pressed into paper. You are cordially invited.
No.
Not me. Not anymore. My name is Eleanor Grayson, and if you're just joining me, welcome to Buried Truths. This isn't a channel about family love, wedding inspiration, or how to plan the perfect mother-daughter getaway. This is where parents go silent, where daughters forget their roots, and where sometimes love turns into something sharper, something that cuts. I used to believe in legacy, in tradition, in the quiet pride of watching your child grow into someone beautiful, kind, grateful. I gave my daughter, Clara, everything. Not just money. Though yes, we paid for the dress, the florist, the vineyard venue with the fairy lights strung over the terrace. But more than that, I gave her time. I gave her my voice when she was too scared to speak. I gave her my name when hers was forgotten. And on the morning of her wedding, she looked me in the eye and said, "You're not invited, Mom. Please go." No warning, no conversation, no reason. Just a soft voice, a trembling lip, and 2 security guards flanking her like she was afraid I'd storm the chapel with a grenade. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned, took my husband's hand, and walked out. And then, we canceled the wedding. Every vendor, every reservation, every penny we spent. Over 2 years of planning, dreams, and late-night calls about lace patterns and seating charts.
Gone.
With 1 email. Because here's what no one tells you about betrayal. It doesn't always come with a knife. Sometimes it comes with a smile, a hug, a thank you note for the down payment on her dream life, right before she erases you from it. We stood in the driveway that morning, suitcases in hand, because yes, we were staying at the venue's guest house, like good parents do, watching the staff scramble as our messages went out. The bakers, the band, the priest.
Wedding cancelled.
By family request. Clara's face when she saw the lights go dark? Priceless. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here because she didn't act alone. Because 3 days before the wedding, I found a note slipped under our door. Not in Clara's handwriting. In his. Her fiancé, Daniel. She doesn't need you anymore. Let her become who she was meant to be.
No signature.
But I'd know that script anywhere. I'd seen it on the back of photos, in the margins of Clara's journal entries I wasn't supposed to read. I'd seen it on the envelope of a letter addressed to a P.O. box in Asheville, a place we'd never been, a place Clara swore she didn't know. And then there was the symbol, at the bottom of the note, drawn in faint blue ink, a circle with a line through it, like a forbidden sign. But not for smoking, not for cameras, for mothers. I'd seen it before, etched into the base of Clara's childhood locket, the one I gave her on her 10th birthday, scratched into the back of a family portrait we took 5 years ago, right over my face, even tattooed in delicate script on Daniel's collarbone, half hidden under his shirt, when I walked in on them arguing last summer. I asked about it once. Clara laughed, said it was just art, a minimalist design Daniel liked. But symbols don't lie, and neither does silence. Now, I sit in the dim back room of a diner 2 towns over, rain tapping the window like impatient fingers. The air smells of burnt coffee and fry oil. My husband, Robert, is asleep in the motel down the road. He thinks I'm done, that we should let it go, that Clara will come back when she realizes what she's lost. But I know better, because yesterday I got a package. No return address. Just my name in that same looping script. Inside, a single photograph. Clara, age 7, standing in front of our old house. Me beside her, arm around her shoulders, smiling, crossed out in red ink. And on the back, written in a hand I haven't seen in years, my sister's, the one who vanished when I was 22. They found her, Ellie, and now they're coming for you. My sister didn't just disappear. She was taken. And the last thing she said to me was, "Don't let them raise your daughter the same way they raised us."
I didn't understand then.
I do now. My phone buzzes. A notification from Buried Truths. The last video I uploaded, anonymous, voice distorted, just hit 47,000 views. A grainy clip of the guest book from the rehearsal dinner. Page after page of signatures and one name circled in black. Dr. Lillian Voss. A psychiatrist. A woman who doesn't list Clara as a patient,
But does list me.
and Robert, and my sister, all under the same case file. Project Cradle. I don't know what it means. Not yet. But I'm about to find out. Because as I fold the photo and slide it into my pocket, the diner door chimes. A woman walks in, hood up, face shadowed. She doesn't order, doesn't sit. She walks straight to my booth, slides a key across the table. It's small,
Gestained.
engraved with the circle and line, and beneath it a whisper. The basement wasn't just for storage, Eleanor. Go back, before they erase her too. Then she's gone. I stare at the key. My hands won't stop shaking, because I know what basement she means. The one under Clara's childhood home. The one we boarded up after she started sleepwalking. After she began whispering in a voice that wasn't hers. The one that was never on the blueprint. And suddenly, I'm not just a mother who got disinvited. I'm a woman standing at the edge of a truth I was never supposed to find. But I found it, and I'm not stopping. The key didn't fit any lock I owned, but it fit the padlock on the storage unit. Unit 317, off Route 9, the one I didn't know I had. I found the address on a receipt tucked inside the false bottom of Clara's old jewelry box, the one I'd kept after she moved out, the one I swore I'd never snoop through again. But grief makes liars of us all. And when Robert started sleepwalking, muttering, "She's not our daughter," in his dreams, I went back. I had to. The box was where I left it,
Dusty.
unopened for years.
But the receipt? Fresh.
Printed 3 days ago. Paid in cash. Under my name. And the unit had been accessed twice in the last week. I drove through the storm like a woman possessed. Rain slashed the windshield, the wipers struggling to keep up. The GPS flickered, then died. I didn't need it. I knew this road. Knew the way the trees leaned inward, like they were whispering secrets to each other. Knew the silence that fell the moment you passed the old cemetery. When I pulled up to the storage facility, the gate was open.
No attendant. No cameras.
Just rows of steel doors, numberless, rusting at the seams. And at the end of row 3, Unit 317, the key turned with a groan. Inside, the air was thick with mildew and something sharper, formaldehyde, like a hospital closet left unattended. The space was small but packed. Boxes stamped with my handwriting. Photos of Clara's childhood. Even her baby blanket, folded neatly in a plastic bin. But none of it was mine. I'd never packed this. And then I saw it. In the center of the room, on a folding table, a wedding album. Not the one from the venue. Not the one we'd approved. This one was already made. I opened it. Page 1. Clara in her dress. Smiling. Radiant. But the groom? Not Daniel. A man I didn't recognize. Late 40s. Cold eyes. A scar along his jaw. And behind them, in the background of the photo, me. Standing at the altar. But I wasn't walking Clara down the aisle. I was tied to a chair. The image was doctored, I told myself. Photoshop. A sick joke. But then I turned the page. Another photo. This time, Robert. Lying on a couch.
Pale.
Unmoving. A syringe on the coffee table. And on the next, a birth certificate. Not Clara's. A different name. Lillian Voss. Born March 14th, 1995. Mother, Eleanor Grayson. Father, unknown. But that's not possible. I only have one child. I backed away, heart hammering, when I heard it, a click. The door slammed shut.
Spoon.
The padlock had engaged from the outside. Hello. I called, voice cracking. Silence. Then, soft footsteps. A shadow under the door. Eleanor. A woman's voice.
Familiar.
Haunting. I pressed my face to the seam. Who are you? The shadow shifted. You called me Aunt Mira once, before they told you I was dead. My breath caught.
Mira.
My sister. The one who vanished 23 years ago. They took you, I whispered. I looked for you. You didn't look hard enough, she snapped. You married Robert, had your perfect life, and I was erased. That's not true. You don't even know what they did to us, she cut in. To her. Clara?
No.
The first Clara. I froze. There was another girl, Mira said, voice dropping. Born the same day. Same hospital. Same name.
They switched you at birth, Ellie.
You weren't supposed to be our blood, but Mom and Dad refused to give you back. What are you talking about? The Voss Institute. They've been doing this for decades. Surrogate mothers. Identity rewrites. Memory suppression. They implanted you into our family. And when you started asking questions, they made you forget. That's insane. Then why don't you remember the basement? She hissed. Why don't you remember the treatments? The tapes they made you watch? The voice that told you, you are not your real mother's daughter? I stumbled back, clutching the album. Memories flickered, a white room, a chair with straps, a woman in a lab coat holding a needle, a child screaming my name.
No.
It couldn't be. But then Mira said, they're doing it again. With your Clara. They've been grooming her since she was 6. Daniel's not her fiancé. He's her handler.
And the wedding?
It's not a ceremony. What is it then? A transfer. A ritual. Once she says I do to him, not Daniel, the older man in the photo, they finalize the identity overwrite. Your Clara dies. The new one wakes up. Oblivious. Obedient. I wanted to laugh. To scream. To wake up. But the album was real. The key was real. And my sister, after 23 years, was standing on the other side of this door. Why now? I asked. Why tell me this? Because they're accelerating the timeline, she said. And because you're the only one who can stop it.
How?
The basement, she whispered. Under the old house. That's where they keep the records. The real birth certificates. The footage. The proof. But it's boarded up. Sealed. There's a tunnel. From the storm drain behind the garage. I used it to escape. But Ellie, if you go in there, they'll know. And they will come for you. A beat of silence. Then, do you still love your daughter? I didn't hesitate. More than my life. Then go. Before she says I do to the wrong man. Before they wipe her clean. The footsteps retreated. I was alone. But not for long. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A notification. From Buried Truths. A comment on my last video. Dr. Lillian Voss doesn't exist. But Eleanor Grayson's daughter does. And she's not who you think. And beneath it, a private message from an account called @CradleWatcher. You're getting close. But the real Clara never left the basement. She's still down there, waiting. I stared at the words. Then I kicked open the side panel of the storage unit and crawled out. I didn't care if they were watching. I didn't care if it was a trap. Because if there was even a chance my real daughter was still alive, trapped, forgotten, buried, then I would dig through every lie, every wall, every grave they'd built. Starting tonight, the storm drain was narrower than I remembered. Or maybe I was just smaller now, older, weaker, frayed at the edges by sleepless nights and the kind of fear that doesn't scream, it hums beneath your skin. I crawled through the concrete tunnel on my elbows, the stench of wet earth and rust thick in my throat. The flashlight in my teeth flickered, casting jagged shadows on the curved walls. Somewhere above, thunder rolled like a warning. Somewhere deeper in the dark, a drip, a breath, a pulse. This wasn't just a drain. It was a vein, and it led straight to the heart of the lie. When I reached the end, the grate gave way with a groan. I dropped into a space so cold it burned. The air tasted metallic like blood and old wiring. I raised the light and froze. I was in the basement, but not our basement. Not the one from the house I grew up in. Not the one we boarded up after Clara's sleepwalking episodes. This place was bigger. A maze of concrete corridors, lined with steel doors, each one labeled in that same cold font: Cradle 7, Cradle 9, Cradle 13. And at the far end, a single door, ajar, light spilling out. I moved toward it, boots silent on the damp floor. Inside, a room frozen in time, a child's bedroom,
Pink walls.
a unicorn mobile, a tiny bed with My Little Pony sheets, and on the nightstand a photo,
Me.
young, holding a baby. But I didn't recognize the room. I didn't remember ever owning that blanket. Then I saw the name on the plaque beside the bed. Clara Grayson, designation, Cradle 11, status, active. Memory sync, 98%. Emotional override, imminent. I backed up, ball rising in my throat. This wasn't a basement. It was a facility, and Clara wasn't taken. She was built. My phone buzzed again. The same burner account, at Cradle Watcher. You weren't supposed to find this. But now that you have, look at the date on the photo. I did. The photo on the nightstand. Me holding the baby. The date stamp in the corner. March 14th, 1995. The same day as the fake birth certificate. The same day as Lillian Voss. But I didn't have a baby in 1995. I was only 16. I turned the photo over. Handwritten on the back.
She's not yours, Ellie.
But you loved her anyway. That's why they had to take her. My knees gave out. Memories, real ones, ripped through the fog. A baby.
Crying.
Me, rocking her in the dark, whispering, "It's okay, Clara, I've got you." A man in a white coat, pulling her from my arms, saying, "You're too young. She'll be better off."
And me screaming.
Fighting. Being sedated. They didn't just erase Mira. They erased me. I wasn't Clara's mother. I was her sister. The real Eleanor Grayson, the one married to Robert, the one who gave birth to the girl they called Clara, was someone else. A woman they used. A vessel. And my Clara, the one I raised, the one I bled for, the one who told me I wasn't invited, wasn't my daughter. She was a replacement. A perfect, programmed copy. Implanted into my life to replace the original. And the woman I thought was my mother? She wasn't my mother either. She was a handler. They raised me, trained me, made me believe I was a mother, so I'd love the new Clara the way they needed her to be loved. Blindly, fiercely, obediently. But I asked too many questions. I noticed the gaps. The way Clara never aged in old photos. The way she flinched at the sound of sirens. The way she'd sometimes stare at me and say, "You're not supposed to remember me, Mom." I thought it was guilt. It was programming. My hands shook. Not from cold. From rage. I wasn't seeking revenge for being disinvited. I was seeking revenge for being lied to every day of my life. For being made to mourn a daughter I never had. For being turned into a puppet who clapped every time they pulled the strings. I stumbled to the file cabinet in the corner. Yanked it open. Folders.
Hundreds of them.
Cradle 1, deceased. Cradle 5, escaped. Cradle 11, active. I found it. Cradle 11, subject. Clara Grayson, replicant. Genetic source unknown. Memory implant. Phase 3. Loyalty protocol engaged. And beneath it, a photo of Daniel in a lab coat. His real name, Dr. Daniel Voss. Son of Dr. Lillian Voss. The architect of Project Cradle.
My phone buzzed one last time.
A video message from at Cradle Watcher. The screen lit up, and I saw her. The real Clara.
Pale. Thin.
Wearing a hospital gown. Sitting in a white room. She looked exactly like the girl I raised. But her eyes were mine. And when she spoke, her voice cracked with years of silence. "They told me you forgot me, that you didn't want me, but I kept saying your name. Every night, Eleanor, Eleanor, Eleanor. You were my sister, and you were the only one who ever loved me like I was real. Please don't let them marry her. Don't let them finish the transfer. Because when she says I do, I die for good." The screen went black. I dropped the phone. The walls felt like they were closing in. I wasn't just fighting to expose the truth. I was fighting to save the only blood family I had left. And the woman I thought had betrayed me? She wasn't my daughter. She was the weapon. And the wedding? It wasn't just a transfer. It was an execution. I stood, picked up the flashlight, and whispered into the dark, "I'm coming, Clara." And this time, I remember everything. The chapel was lit like a dream. White roses, candles in glass orbs, a string quartet playing canon in D, the same piece I'd chosen for the real wedding I thought we were having. But this wasn't a wedding. It was an unveiling. I stood in the shadows behind the altar, dressed in black, my face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat and sunglasses. Ridiculous in a church, but no one looked too close. Not when they expected grief. Not when they expected silence. They thought I'd broken. They thought I'd left. But I'd been digging. And now, I was here to bury them. The bride walked in on Daniel's arm, Dr. Daniel Voss, the man who'd spent years rewiring her mind, erasing her doubts, sinking her to the script. She wore the dress I'd picked out, the veil I'd embroidered with tiny silver stars, the necklace my mother gave me, the one with the locket shaped like a circle with a line through it. Their symbol. Only now I knew what it meant. Erasure. Not just of identity, of self. Clara, the one I raised, didn't look at the guests, didn't smile. Her eyes were glassy, distant, like she was watching herself from somewhere far away. A voice in her earpiece whispered the words she needed to say. I could see her lips moving in silent rehearsal. And then I saw him, at the back of the chapel. Robert, my husband, my handler. He wasn't supposed to be here. He'd been on business. Grieving.
Supporting me.
But he stood at the rear, watching the ceremony like a general overseeing a victory. Our eyes met, and for the first time in 23 years, I saw truth in his face. Not love, not regret, recognition. He knew. He'd always known. I reached into my coat, pulled out the drive, the one I'd found in the basement, labeled Cradle 11, Final Transfer. It contained everything. The footage of the real Clara, starving, whispering my name in a white room. The audio logs of Daniel coaching my daughter on how to mimic grief, love, even laughter. The genetic reports. No biological relation between Eleanor Grayson and subject Cradle 11. And the final protocol. Upon vow completion, initiate neural wipe. Terminate original. Archive memories under designee. They weren't just replacing her. They were killing her. And I was about to let it happen again if I didn't act. The priest began. Do you, Clara, take this man? I stepped forward. No music. No warning. Just me. Walking down the aisle. Every head turned. Clara froze. Her eyes, those familiar, haunted eyes, locked onto mine. And for a second, something flickered. Not recognition. Memory. Like a crack in the code. Eleanor, she whispered. Robert moved first. Stop her, he said, voice low, calm. Two men in black suits stepped from the side doors. But I didn't run. I raised the drive and pressed play. The screens flanking the altar, meant for romantic slideshows, flickered. Then exploded. Footage. The real Clara. Beaten down, whispering. My sister's name is Eleanor. She used to sing to me. She promised she'd come back. Photos. Medical files. The birth certificate.
The switch.
And then Robert. On tape. Speaking to Daniel. Phase 3 is complete. She believes she's the mother. She'll protect the asset at all costs. Gasps tore through the crowd. Clara staggered back. Mom, she started. No, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I'm not your mother. I'm your sister. And they stole you from me when we were both children. Daniel lunged for the projector. I hit next. A live feed. From the basement. The real Clara, my Clara, was on her knees, guards around her, a needle in a doctor's hand. They're killing her now, I screamed. If this wedding finishes, she dies. Chaos. Guests screamed. The bride collapsed. Robert pulled a radio from his coat. I didn't wait. I ran for the altar. For the microphone. And with the world watching, I said, "This isn't a wedding. It's a crime. And I'm not here to stop a vow. I'm here to free my sister." I slammed the drive into the sound system. Full upload. Buried Truths went live. Title: I crashed the wedding to save my sister. Viewers: 12,000, 47,000, 200,000. The screens flashed red. Live stream detected. Initiating termination. Robert shouted into the radio. But it was too late. Sirens wailed in the distance.
Police.
News vans. Real people. The machine was breaking. And then Clara stood. Not the bride. The replicant. She tore the earpiece from her ear, looked at Daniel, and said, voice shaking but clear, "I don't take you." Silence. Then she turned to me. You remember me?" I nodded, tears streaming. I never forgot. She took a step forward, then another, until she was in my arms. We held each other like we were holding the pieces of a life that should have been. But behind us, Robert pulled a gun, aimed it at the screen, at the live feed, at her. I didn't think. I moved, and when the shot rang out, it wasn't me who fell. It was Daniel. Clara had stepped in front. Blood bloomed on her white dress. As she collapsed, she whispered, I wanted to be real." I caught her, held her, and in that moment, I didn't see a replicant. I saw a girl who chose love, even if it wasn't hers. The police stormed in. Robert was dragged away, screaming about protocol and containment. The real Clara was rescued. But the cost? One life, one lie, and one truth that would never be silenced. The house is quiet now. No wedding plans. No rehearsals. No polite lies about how everything will be fine. Just silence. And the sound of Clara breathing. Real Clara. She sleeps most days. The doctors call it reintegration fatigue. What happens when a mind locked in a white room for nearly 3 decades finally wakes up? She doesn't speak much. Not yet. But sometimes, in the dark, she hums a lullaby. The one I used to sing to her. I sit beside her bed every night, just like I did when we were kids. Before they took her. Before they gave me another girl and called her mine. The scars on her wrists, thin, precise, tell a story I'll never fully know. The way she flinches at the word mother tells another. But when she opens her eyes and sees me, she smiles. Not the programmed, perfect curve of the bride's lips.
Real. Broken.
Tender.
Ours.
The world, meanwhile, is still burning. Buried Truths has 12 million views. The final video, What Happened to the Real Clara, aired 3 weeks ago. It showed everything. The basement, the files, the live feed of her rescue, Robert's trial, Daniel's death, the global network of cradle facilities, now under investigation in 7 countries. They called me a hero, a whistleblower, a survivor. But I don't feel like any of those things. I feel like someone who woke up in the middle of a nightmare, only to realize she's been sleepwalking her whole life. The house feels different now. Not haunted, liberated. We tore out the false wall in the garage, the one hiding the tunnel entrance. Covered it with flowers. A memorial. For the girl they stole. For the mother I never was. For the life I was tricked into living. And yet, there's a drawer in my nightstand I haven't opened. Inside, a single vial.
Clear liquid.
No label. Found it in Daniel's coat the night he died. Handwritten on the side, in tiny script. Cradle, 12. Viable. Memories sync, 80%. I didn't tell the authorities. I don't know why. Maybe because part of me wonders, what if it's not just a copy? What if love can rewrite more than code? What if somewhere another girl is waking up, thinking of me? I haven't destroyed it. I haven't used it. I just keep it there. A choice I'm not ready to make. Then, yesterday, a letter arrived. No return address. Just a photograph.
Me.
Age 6. Standing in front of the old house. But in the photo, there's someone beside me. A little girl. Blonde.
Thin.
Smiling. I don't remember her. But on the back, in handwriting I've come to fear and crave. You weren't the first, Ellie. You were just the first who resisted. And beneath it, a symbol, not the circle with a line. This time, it's a triangle with a dot inside. The same one from Cash and Vale's videos. The silent ledger. I've watched them all. His revenge. His ledger. His buried truth. And now this? Coincidence? Or are we all just pieces of the same machine? I don't know. But last night, Clara woke up screaming. Not in fear. In recognition. She grabbed my arm, eyes wide, and whispered, "They're still watching. Through the mirrors. Through the cameras. Through people who look like family." I held her, rocked her, told her she was safe. But when I looked up, the reflection in the glass, for just a second, smiled back at me, and it wasn't mine. I didn't turn on the light. I didn't check the corners. I just closed my eyes and waited, because revenge isn't a finish line. It's a door. And once you open it, you can't unsee what's on the other side. They took my sister. They gave me a daughter who wasn't mine. They made me love a lie. And yes, I burned it all down. But in the ashes, something's still breathing. Something watching. And this time, I won't look away.